Hey everybody, welcome to the ZBN podcast. Chris told me that I should open this podcast with a reference to the beginning of the trailer where she's like, "Oh, open your eyes." So I'm doing that now. So that's what's happening right now. So this is the ZBN podcast. We have a really weird circumstance where I am Omni and I'm back for this podcast and hosting, which is really unusual, but that's okay. Today I am joined by Mr. Chris.
Hello.
And also Dan. He's here.
Hi.
And
how's it going?
that's it. We're going to talk about Zelda Breath of the Wild because it's been 1 or 2 weeks since E3. We were trying to record this like a week ago, but it didn't happen. So We're doing it now. It's okay. We know more information about the game now anyway, so I think it's going to be a good time anyways. So, I mean, where do we even start? This game is crazy.
I have an idea of where to start.
Okay.
What was everyone's initial reactions when the trailer started?
Oh gosh. Well, the very opening of the trailer, I was just struck by how nice the game looks.
Well, the first thing you hear is the obviously Zelda voice.
And I wasn't sure what to think of that because, like, maybe it's just for the trailer or something like that, which I guess we haven't had a precedent where there's voice acting in a trailer, but still, it was surprising. And I was like, everyone, like, I've watched so many reaction videos to this trailer, and everyone's like, oh, is there voice acting? So that's pretty exciting, because there is voice acting.
I believe I read Aonuma. Oh my god.
Aonuma.
Aonuma said that the voice acting will be used in important parts, so basically plot stuff, I guess, you know?
Yeah,
so,
that's
not even the old man's gonna get it, I don't think, but obviously
unless
Zelda
the old man has big scenes, though, you don't know he's not gonna have big scenes.
What?
Maybe he's the king of Hyrule. Maybe he's Ganon. Who knows?
Wow, spoilers. Maybe he's both of those things.
Yeah, maybe he's the king and Ganon. Wow. I don't know.
Wait, I just had a thought. What if Ganon talks? That's gonna be interesting. I never thought of that.
Yo, I didn't even think about that.
Neither did I. Just
that will be exciting.
If you had to cast those voice roles, who you casting?
Well, Zelda. I mean, obviously,
for Ganon.
Zelda's obviously got some English woman.
Well, is that Zelda? That's the question.
Zelda.
I mean, everyone says it's Zelda, and I think it's Zelda. It makes sense. It falls in line with every beginning of every other Zelda game where Link wakes up and he's been summoned by Zelda in a dream. So I don't see why it wouldn't be Zelda. But, you know, it could be somebody else. Who knows? Who would I cast for Ganon? I don't even know. I mean, probably the voice of Jingle, right? Oh, dude, that'd be good. No, did you actually know Tingle's voice actor is the same voice actor as Ganon? Did you know that?
Oh my god.
It's the same guy.
That's amazing.
That's amazing, isn't it? It's great.
That's so good.
Well done. But what if they what if they got, like, you know, like in Twilight Princess, Ganon has his grunts and whatever. What if they just got that guy, you know? I don't know. And made him talk.
Well, he doesn't speak English.
Oh.
He's a Japanese guy.
Oh, okay.
Unless they want him to have a Japanese accent, which could be kind of cool, like a broken English Japanese accent. English.
That could be pretty funny.
Rinku.
We all just said Link straight away.
Hey, can we talk about that real quick? The fact that Link's name is straight up Link. Like, there doesn't seem to be a way to name the character in this game.
Oh, yeah, because if there's voice acting, they won't be able to... Like, you can't change to the...
English Zelda says Link,
Yeah, she said,
if she
wake up,
says Link, then...
So, I guess you could probably name your save file, obviously, but I don't think you'll be able to name the character, and they won't refer to you as the name of your save file. So that's going to be different.
I guess.
Breaking conventions.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with breaking conventions, because that's the best part of all of this. It's just all of the Zelda conventions are just out the window with that. Get rid of it. None of this, you get the bow in this dungeon, and therefore this dungeon is entirely bow-specific nonsense. Now it's you get the bow somewhere, and then you just have a bow.
Yeah, so
it's so
the
good.
most interesting thing to me is the fact that items are just so casually found in the world now. Like, just find a random chest. Oh, hey, a bow. Oh, hey, a fire rod. Oh, hey, a shield, you know? It's crazy, really.
I really like that, though. I like how...
Go ahead.
Yep. I was just going to say that I like how it's going to make it so dungeons have to be designed, like, interest. Like, there's now going to have to actually be thought put into the dungeons instead of just, these puzzles are the bow puzzles.
Yeah.
Shoot a thing in the eye, that's a puzzle. Now it's going to have to actually be interestingly thought out and planned around, like, if you have this item, you can take this route, or if you don't, you'll have to take a different route, sort of thing. Maybe just it might be a bit more open and way less specific to the item, because I don't know, that's got old over time.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, we've been watching footage of the Treehouse, and one of the shrines that they have, which is basically the mini dungeons. I'm sure people who are listening to this already know about shrines and all that, but there was this one shrine where Chico was playing. She's one of the Treehouse members, and she was in this like cylinder with all of these spiky balls that were rolling around, and she basically used the magnesis rune, which was the way that you can lift metal objects basically telekinetically, but with a magnet.
Yep.
And she just took the obstacles that were rolling around and just threw them out of the room. It's just like you can go through the room with them in there rolling around and dodge them, or you can just remove them. And there's all these stories that people have of solving shrines differently. Like Bill Trinan had an interview with IGN, and he was talking about how some of the other Treehouse members already finished a shrine or something like that, and then they gave it to Bill, and Bill did something completely different. And they were looking at Bill's playthrough and saying, "What are you doing? That's wrong." And Bill's like, "No, stop. Leave me alone. I'm doing this my way." And then he finished the shrine, and the other guys were like, "I don't know how you did that. That's not at all what we did, but it worked." So there's openness to even the puzzle solving in this game, which is great. I love it. It's beautiful because the runes are so broad in their application. They're so diverse, and you can do a lot with them. So,
oh man,
because isn't there's that one puzzle in one of the shrines where it's like a wrecking ball, and you can either use the stasis rune to like freeze it and then send it in a direction, or you can use the magnesis one to like move it. So you could use either of those runes, and both of those options is right. And I like that idea of like you can use whatever you want to solve these puzzles. There's a lot of emphasis on freedom in this game, I think. Like there's freedom to solve puzzles however you want to do it, and freedom just in the world in general. Like there's so much freedom. Like you can go straight away and apparently you can just go and fight the final boss straight out the gate.
You can try and probably die in like 2 seconds, because some of the enemies that are within walking distance of the very start of the game can kill you in a hit. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
So I can't imagine people actually beating Ganon at the very start of the game with your twig. But who knows? Maybe you can.
Naked as well.
Yeah, basically.
You know people are going to try that, though. That's going to happen.
Yeah, I can't wait for
We're all
speedruns.
gonna,
It's going to be fun.
Someone's going to do it.
It's going to be so
Someone's
good.
going to pull it off, and it's going to be impressive, and everyone's going to watch on
Just
Twitch.
imagine
It's gonna be
Ganon
awesome.
watching Link shield surfing to his house, like naked with a twig on his back.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I do think it's important to note, though, that I don't think you can actually get off of the Great Plateau at the start of the game without the paraglider. So you at least have to do like 1 or 2 shrines to be able to apparently get the paraglider at the start. But who knows? Maybe someone will find a way. Though. Maybe someone will find a way to get off the plateau without the paraglider by some backwards glitchy means. Who knows? It's gonna happen.
It will happen. It definitely will. Like,
oh yeah, that's right. Because they went around the Great Plateau in the demo, and like there was like a massive cliff and stuff, wasn't there? Damn.
Yeah, I imagine you can't get off of that without the thing, but I think that's probably for the best though, because otherwise people will just get lost straight away. It's probably pretty good to have like a small contained area for this, and it's not even that small.
I know, it's massive.
Yeah.
That contained area for the start, it's like bigger than probably all of Ocarina of Time's
Probably,
world,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
And to,
I mean, it sort of.
I was just.
It sort of resembles.
Oh, okay, you go first.
Well, I don't know if this was what you were going to say, but it sort of resembles the Hyrule field of Ocarina of Time. Like, there's the Temple of Time is in there.
Oh, yeah.
What seems to be like the ruins of Castletown Market are in there, and people are drawing a lot of parallels between like the castle, like the town walls, and the walls around the Temple of Time. So there's seems to be a lot of thought in integrating some of the landmarks from past games in a way that makes sense, and that's pretty exciting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like we're in something bad happened to Hyrule, maybe Ganon destroyed it, and there's a bunch of ruins now, and it's like an empty world, but there's still towns and stuff eventually. But I just love how it's like the land is in ruins, and you have to figure out what's going on if you want, or you just go straight to Ganon. But you can just find out what's going on with Hyrule, and I can't wait to do that myself.
Yeah.
My My theory that I think is shared by several other people here at the ZBN is that this is in Wind Waker's Great Sea after that's been drained. So it's kind of like if the whole of Hyrule was flooded before Wind Waker, and then 100 or so years after Wind Waker, it was like unflooded. However that works, I don't know. Whatever. It's Zelda. Who cares? If they can flood it, they can unflood it.
Right.
And like this new world is like the ruins of Hyrule post flood. And my reason, I kind of the look of this game. You know, when you go under the water in Wind Waker and you're walking from the castle to Ganon's part, that field there really reminds me, like, aesthetically, like when I saw this big Hyrule field for Breath of the Wild, it kind of reminded me of that, and that sort of like you can look out onto these rolling hills down there, and it just looked very reminiscent. And I don't know, to me, that seems like it just feels a lot like I get that too. The bottom of the Great Sea.
You saw the Koroks in the demo, so that's a big hint.
The Koroks.
Yeah,
so it's
I mean, so a lot of people are talking about like trying to theorize where did this take place in the timeline, and I'm of the mind that I can't make sense of it, because there's like references to Skyward Sword with like a statue of Hylia straight up right there in the Temple of Time, which has never been there before. What's that all about? And then you've got Koroks in there, but you also have like, well, let's not even talk about Wolf Link. That's not like even canon in the game itself. But there seems to be all these references to like cross timeline branch parts of various games, and it's almost like there's this big pervading theory right now that this is a game that unites the branches somehow, which could be interesting. But maybe that's their way of like, I don't want to deal with this complication, so I'm just gonna like merge everything back together and then go from there, because it's too hard to keep track of, at least for the developers, because they don't seem to have as much of a grasp on the timeline as the fans do. So who knows?
I mean, the timeline stuff is interesting, but I'm mostly excited for the in-game story itself, because they took the towns. Well, they did something with towns for the demo and didn't have them. I'm guessing there's towns around the plateau, but you go to towns, find out a bit more of the story, find out why Link's being resurrected, find out why everything's in ruins, find out what, like, I saw some video about Link climbing a tower, and then English Zelda, we're gonna call her English Zelda, telling Link about the big scary black shrouded castle in the distance, and then the English Zelda says, "Now Link, go," and then the old man tells you that that's Calamity Ganon, and I'm just like, oh, okay, Ganon is in this game. Well,
Calamity Ganon.
Yeah, I know, right? I could show you afterwards.
That sounds like his rad 90s nickname. Like, whoa, dude!
I'm serious.
Come to the skate park. Calamity Ganon's down there, man.
If I find out, I'll edit it in.
I think they refer to him.
Goofy.
I think they refer to him as the Calamity Ganon.
I can't
that
remember,
makes sense.
But it's
that makes
weird.
a lot more sense.
I just remember the words Calamity Ganon was in red.
Only the
text.
words Calamity Ganon are highlighted in red, but they do put the word "the" in front of Calamity.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it's interesting because the old man's there, and he tells you that the plateau is completely isolated and you can't get down without a paraglider. And this old man is really mysterious to me because he seems to be helping you out and like following you around. Yeah. But we don't know anything about him.
Yeah, maybe he's luring you into a trap. Maybe he's trying to make you get stronger so that you can fight Ganon, or something. Like there's some ulterior motives there.
Yeah, that's my guess, is that he has some ulterior motives. But one thing I think is interesting is that I think it was one of the Treehouse staff or Aonuma said that like one of the first important NPCs you find is immediately after you get off the plateau. So
right.
So I think like the really interesting plot points and characters are going to be outside of the plateau, and I kind of think of the plateau as sort of a tutorial area, which where you learn all of the basics of
makes sense.
How you fight and all of that. And then once you get off the plateau, you're like free to roam the world. One thing that I thought was interesting is that depending on where you jump off the plateau, you're in like a totally different part of the world, because the plateau is like the dead center. And you'd have to go all the way around the plateau to be able to get somewhere else. So it's like you have to kind of make a choice at the start. And that's pretty interesting.
Nice.
This excites me so much.
I know, it's crazy. I'm trying to keep my expectations in check because this game has exceeded my expectations to the point where it's starting to get unhealthy how good I think this game is. And I'm probably going to get let down again somehow because it looks so good.
It's amazing how everyone was like, oh my god, Nintendo, you delayed it, but then they reveal it again, and it's like, oh my god, thanks for delaying it.
Yeah.
I think the thing I like is how before E3 everyone's like, oh my god, they're only going to show one game, and then they only showed one game, and then they started showing other games, and we were like, nah.
Stop that.
Go back to the one game, please.
Yeah, the lines. Oh my gosh, the lines at E3 were like 4 to 8 hours long, something like that, and like as soon as they let people into the line filled up within 6 minutes. And I saw this video of people literally stampeding on the last day to be able to get to the Nintendo booth to play Zelda. People were running through the halls, and then there was this one idiot in the middle of the crowd just standing there in the flow of traffic, like staring at the ceiling with his arms outstretched like an idiot. I have to find that video. It's pretty great. But yeah.
Yeah, that does sound great. Man,
I can't wait.
It's amazing.
Speaking of the E3 booth, it looked like really amazing. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you guys saw like they had. I just saw it earlier today of like iJustin's video or whatever, and she showed like the cooking food thing. Like they actually had like the food on stilts in the pot, and it went up and down.
Yeah.
So they put so much effort into their booth.
Played the cooking music for whenever you got close to it. It's pretty cool. I hope
cool.
Whenever they start doing amusement park stuff, it's something like that in the worlds that they build, because it's pretty cool.
God, I'd love to have been in that booth. That was amazing.
I like how you say when they start. Like, is that confirmed?
Yeah, that's confirmed. They've confirmed that they're going to be doing.
Yeah,
they're
we
working
did a
with
miniature
Universal
recap
on
it, man. Like, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty cool.
But they did say it's not going to be until like after 2018 or something like that. So it's going to be a pretty long while, but it takes a while to build stuff like that. Yeah. But what else is there? We got this list of notes. There's going to be over 100 shrines in the game, and the shrines are those sort of mini dungeons. There's still going to be regular dungeons. That's been confirmed. Whether or not there's a lot of them, who knows?
Yeah,
the rumor is that there's about 4.
That there's 4. Yeah.
But I mean, I think if there's 100 mini dungeons, that at least adds up to like 2 more full dungeons, at least. Yeah. So I think that's pretty fair.
Also,
6 dungeons is pretty sizable.
I think they said like ages ago, like dungeons would be massive, so they wouldn't feel like traditional dungeons, maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm banking on. I'm really hoping that like the dungeons kind of feel integrated into the world. So like you go through one part of a dungeon and then you kind of come out out into the open air, and you can explore a little bit of the open world and then go back into the dungeon, and there's sort of things like that. And I really want the dungeons to be kind of, because one of the problems I have with Zelda a lot of the times is that the dungeons kind of just feel like, oh, this is a dungeon. I've just gone into a cave and here's a dungeon, and they don't feel like part of the world. Like Twilight Princess did it really well, like the one that was like a mansion. It felt like a part of the world. It felt like it had a reason to be there.
That's a good one.
Like a lot of the other games just feel like, oh, okay, I've gone into a dungeon. Like I love Wind Waker, but it has that problem for sure, like especially with the Wind and other one, the Earth Temple. So I'm really hoping this one is like, this isn't like a named Fire Temple. This is just a big chunk of the world.
Yeah, that's true.
That exists as a dungeon. Kind of like almost, I think Skyward Sword almost did it, I think.
In a way.
No,
yeah,
actually.
Well, they kind of made the overworld more like a dungeon.
Yeah, they
so
did.
it was kind of weird. But
yeah,
I do know what you mean, and I think I agree with you that in most Zelda games up to this point, there's this dichotomy of overworld and then dungeon. So when you're on Hyrule Field, you're kind of in one mode of gameplay, and then you enter like a door, and then you get into dungeon mode, and it's like a completely different feel. So I think in this game, if they kind of make it like when you actually get to the Temple of Time, the ruins of the Temple of Time, you're entering a structure organically like you would in real life. When you go from the outside into your house, you're not like changing your mode of being.
There's
you're
no loading screen.
You're in a structure now. And so basically, if the dungeons are basically an open world as well, just you're inside a structure of architecture with walls, but just make it seamless from the outdoors, then that would be pretty cool. And they could stick puzzles in there like they would any other dungeon, but as long as there's no like barrier between walking around in the world and then traversing a dungeon.
I think we shall see
I think
that.
they do.
Yeah,
I do wonder.
That's definitely one of the things.
If the shrines are going to be like, because the shrines definitely had a loading screen between the world and the shrines.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
that's true.
I don't know. Maybe the dungeons are going to be different in that respect, and I'm pretty excited. But there's a lot of a very detailed world and a lot of really interesting secrets and almost like Easter eggs and things you can do with all of the very diverse abilities that you have. You can cut down trees. You can...
Yes.
It's almost like you have to try everything because you never know what might actually work. Yeah. And that's never been done to this degree.
One of the main things they put in this time around is the physics engine. So...
yeah.
So, like, you know, you can cut down trees, like you said, and there's fire, there's ragdoll physics, you know, all that stuff. And I think that will definitely make the world and gameplay feel more organic. And I'm glad they're implementing it, actually, because... It seems so simple, but it's really great.
Yeah, it's all these like little kind of tiny polishy type things, like the way that fire creates an updraft. So if you want to get up to a really high place or get like an advantage when you're flying, like trying to climb a cliff, you can set fire to something at the bottom of the cliff. Use your parachute to kind of get jet upwards and grab the cliff from there, so that you can kind of get like. Oh, it's just so good.
They showed a clip of Link making a fire using the updraft to get a better vantage on shooting an arrow at one of the Guardians, and that was pretty epic.
Yeah. And it was basically like a QuickTime event without the QuickTime part. It was like that sort of moment, but all done manually. It was crazy.
How do you guys feel about the whole slow-mo thing? I think it's pretty cool.
At first, when they showed it at like the Game Awards a year ago, it looked really unpolished, but now that they've polished it up, I think it's really interesting because it still gives you a feeling of like manual control. You're actually doing the thing. It's not a QuickTime event, but it gives you the same sort of epic moment.
I saw in the Treehouse like whoever was playing, but Link just jumped off a cliff, pulled his bow out, went into slow motion, and just like bombed a bunch of bokoblins or bokoblins, whatever you. Bokoblins, that's it. That's not a word I've said out loud much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just like so cool. I just want to do it and play the game.
Yeah, I kind of want to like. I've been trying to stop watching all these really long gameplay videos because I'm starting to get all of these little details spoiled for me. Like, I was a little bit bummed out. I don't know if this is a spoiler for people, but there's a fire rod in this game.
I saw that.
And and at this point, most people know about it. But I was like, oh man, I didn't know there was a fire rod. Now that's not going to be a surprise for me. But I've gotten over it. But I hope there's plenty of moments like that off the plateau because I really want to have that element of surprise.
I feel like I've had enough of my like preview, like how the game works. They'll probably release like a story trailer or something later near a release. But after that, I think I'll have enough. I don't want to watch anymore.
Yeah,
I want to savor like the 100-hour gameplay.
I haven't watched anything since like the big E3 thing, and I think I'm going to keep doing that just because I know this game looks good. I don't need more footage to convince me of that, so I'm just going to kind of, unless there's like a short trailer, then I'll probably just watch it. But other than that, I don't really want to have like huge amounts of gameplay spoiled, and I don't really want to watch people play it because it makes me want to play it, and then I'm just like, oh, but I'm not playing this game. The only Zelda games I have that I can play are like Skyward Sword.
Yeah, this game, Aonuma has gone out as far as saying that this game is literally a reaction to the people who didn't like how Skyward Sword was structured. And I think that's really interesting because they seem to be listening to the Zelda fans now for this game. They went as far as actually asking the people at the booth, what do you think should be done with this game? What did you like? What did you not like? And they actually had to fill out a survey. And then that's never happened, I don't think. So it seems like they're really opening up to the fans and seeing what they want to see in a Zelda game.
I said in 8-Brit that this game looks like the anti-Skyward Sword, which is great.
Yeah. It's what Skyward Sword should have been, basically. And
imagine that big world on the Wii, though.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I can't fault them too badly for not trying to do a world like this on the Wii, because I can't imagine that the Wii would have been able to do something quite like this. But that being said, I wish the Wii was as powerful as a Wii U back then, because then this would have happened, you know? But it's happening now, and I'm super happy
And
about
another
it,
thing
so.
is, people say the art style in Breath of the Wild is like a proper version of Skyward Sword's art style.
Yeah, more like Wind Waker and less like Twilight Princess. Great.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of Skyward Sword, though, Omni, I know you think there's going to be a method of flight in this game. Care to elaborate
So
on that?
I don't know that I really believe that much. But okay, so there's this place. It's like either a floating island or a flying machine of some kind.
Oh, the airship
in some of the trailers. Yeah, and it looks. A lot of people are saying it's an airship, but it's obviously something that exists for a reason. And I imagine you can go to it. Right?
I want to go there.
But how would you get to it if you can't fly?
Loftwing, confirmed.
So, I think there's going to be some means of flying more than gliding. Like maybe there's a way to get your glider to, like, maybe if there's like a volcano. I had this one theory that you could like fly over Death Mountain and get like a massive updraft and then get to it or something. But
that would be so cool.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's the only reason I think there's a possibility of flight. But I don't know if I'd go as far as to say loft wings are definitely going to be in this game, or Pegasus Epona is going to be in this game or something like that. But it's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Or a giant cannon, because Link seems to do that a lot.
Stop with the freaking cannons. I hate that. It's just like the dungeon doorway leading you from the overworld to the city in the sky. That's how they did it in Twilight Princess, and it's really cop-outy and gross, and I don't want that. Because that's like not committing to the open world if they don't let you just fly straight to the airship thing. So
yeah, that's true.
I hope they do that. Otherwise, I'm going to dock points on my review score that I'm not going to do. So, yeah.
Wow.
I'm thinking with an airship, what if it's Beetle? What if Beetle is back and he has like
a
Zeppelin?
It's a massive
Beetle's
airship.
moving up in the world. He's got his own airship with a crew and everything.
That would actually be amazing.
I want like a huge Zeppelin with like Beetle's face just superimposed on
the
How
front.
good would that be?
Or just like you know how ships have like the statues hanging on the front, like needle thing on the ship, whatever that's
like
called.
A figurehead.
Just a figure of Beetle, just like Titanicing forward. That would be so good.
Yeah, I want that. I really want that now.
Beetle's the best.
Speaking of recurring people, do you think Tingle's going to show up in this? What do we think?
Who knows, man?
I haven't even thought about Jingle.
Well, on that subject, they're bringing back the Koroks, and that makes me want to see a lot of older races come back, and also some recurring characters, because I feel like there's a big opportunity in a world as big as this to introduce all those cultures again. So I'd be totally down with Tingle. Like, I'm not one of those people that can't stand him. I'm not one of those people who's in love with him either, but you know, I'm cool with Tingle and Beetle and Zoras and Gorons and maybe even some of the crap races that they introduced in Skyward Sword. Like, as long as they're not replacing the good ones, I'm okay with it. You know?
I'd almost said that I'd rather have the I've totally forgotten their names. The bird people from Wind Waker. I think I'd rather have them.
Yeah,
the Rito. I think I'd rather have them in this game than the Zora, because you kind of can't have both because evolution or whatever.
Maybe like, they can help you fly
and like
maybe they can carry you to the airship. Who knows?
Also, another thing,
I think
like another tribe, whatever, the friggin' Sheikah, they're getting a big focus on in this game. So we should be.
Oh yeah, they are.
We should see Impa and stuff, right?
Okay, here's a question: are the dudes in the shrines actually Sheikah, like mummified Sheikah, or like really old Sheikah? Because that's what they seem like. They have like Sheikah eye on their foreheads and all that.
Yeah.
So it seems like
I
they're
totally
at least
forgot about those dudes. So for a second there, I was like, "Wait a second, what is he?" And for a second, I thought there were like actual mummies in the background that I'd missed somehow. And I was like, "Wait a second."
Well, it's super weird because
it just came back to me, and I was like, "Okay, those guys, yeah."
The thing that's off-putting for me is that you get to those guys and they don't move. They have zero animation. They don't even breathe. They're just like a static mesh sitting there, and it kind of bothers me. But in a way, I hope they do it in a way that makes sense, because it feels like they're just kind of taking a shortcut by making them like these old shriveled mummy people, so they don't have to move. Therefore, they can just put them in 100 shrines, because there's got to have to be 100 of them, right?
Yeah, I was just
and
gonna
to make
say,
that many characters, it's going to be a lot of work. So
I was just going to say, there's 100 shrines, right? They have to like make over 100 names, and
it's funny because the ones on the plateau, they're all the same guy. They look identical. The only difference is that they're holding their hands in a different spot. That's the only difference.
Maybe each region will have different look. Maybe
that is confirmed. The ones outside of the plateau have a different looking guy.
Oh well, that's that.
Don't they all disappear after you talk to them?
Yes, they do. So they're basically dead.
Maybe it's the same guy. He's just teleporting around.
That's true.
But he just has over 100 aliases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's only ever in the shrine that you're in. So if you go into the shrine, don't talk to him. You just leave, and then you go to another shrine. He's also there. He just follows you around. Yeah. So here's a race that for some reason, I don't know why, but I'm really endeared to them. Is the and I don't think this is gonna happen, but the Aonuki from Spirit Tracks. I don't know why I love them so much.
I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah,
but they're so
like
great.
I love those guys too.
They're like penguin deer Eskimo people. It's great. They're great.
I love those guys. They're adorable.
I want them.
I would love to see them back. They're the best.
All I remember,
we don't really have
all I remember
ice
is,
race apart from those guys.
All I remember is like the little thing you had to do about figuring out who was the town like the crime, whoever was making crime or whatever it was, whoever stole something.
Well, because wasn't one of them like one of the enemy races in disguise, and you had to find out which of the. It was like a puzzle because like one of them was like, "Oh, I never lie, but this guy lies." And you had to try to work out what.
Yeah,
that was
remember
cool.
that.
I remember enjoying that. Speaking of, I was also like, I want to like be horrible to Skyward Sword in every possible way, but one of the things I liked about Skyward Sword was I quite liked the Kikwi. I thought they were pretty adorable, so I wouldn't mind seeing them back either.
Yeah, they were cool.
Like the little dudes with bushes on their back, and then. Like they see you and they're like, oh god, you're scary, and they hide. Those guys were great. I'd love to see them just wandering about. Like that'd be cool.
Of all the races in Skyward Sword, they're my favorite. Like I don't like the Magmas much. I hate those stupid sea dragon looking dudes. Like I don't even remember what they're called, but they're so not memorable at all.
I forgot about them until you mentioned
cursor
it.
To the Zora. It's like gross. Get them out. I don't want them.
Took me a while to remember what they were for a second. I was like, wait. Oh, yeah.
There was also the volcano mole people. I can't remember them.
Yeah, the Magmas. I don't like them that much. They're okay, but they're not as good as the Kikis.
They're tolerable, but they're not great. They're not the Anuki, who are the best. I've never had anyone else mention them to me, and that like I'm just like, oh my god, other people like those guys too. They were the best part of Phantom Hourglass, honestly. Like
yeah,
those guys were great. I had something I was going to say, but I've forgotten it.
No, I did too, and I can't remember what it was. But
yeah. One of the things I was thinking I would love to see in this game is wandering communities. So instead of like alongside, I guess, like standard towns, maybe have towns that are more kind of nomadic. So they move around the field, and you have to find them. Like you have to hunt them down and be like, oh, you're here now. And maybe they're in like, maybe you see them wandering during the day, and then they set up tents at night, and kind of they're always on the move. Like I'd love to see that with the size of this world. I think that'd be a great way of making the world seem maybe less empty at times. Kind of have areas that sometimes have a village, sometimes they don't, and because that way you can have the same village essentially, but have it populate a whole load of different places in the world at different times.
Yeah.
So like. It feels more alive. I'd really love to see that. More people.
Sorry, I wouldn't be surprised.
Go ahead, Chris.
I wouldn't be surprised if you saw like a traveling merchant at least, or whatever, like that.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah, I think that dynamic is cool. Like Beetle.
Yeah. Or like in Wind Waker of
the
Goron or something.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it'd be cool, like Dan said, with a community of people rather than just a single guy. That, like, depending on your progress through the game, they might be in one place, and then you beat another dungeon, or you progress the story to another point, and then now they've traveled to another spot on the map. That kind of thing would make it seem like there's actually a progression throughout the entire narrative of these people that continue to get maybe closer and closer to the castle, or I don't know what their goal would be, but that would make it feel pretty alive. Oh.
Kind of like, isn't there that guy in Ocarina of Time, like the running man or whatever, who's like always running around the Hyrule Field or something?
Yeah. The guy with the
wouldn't it be cool if that guy was there, but it was
this
huge
him back.
world?
Bring him back. I want him more than Tingle.
Always running around.
You know who else I want to see? And this may not make any sense, but the Minish, and I don't think this would ever happen because it's a Capcom game, but the Minish were cool, and I like the fact that they sort of explained why there's hearts and rupees in pots and everything because the Minish are the ones who put them there. And obviously that doesn't make as much sense anymore because there aren't rupees and hearts in the grass anymore. But it would be cool. Maybe that's why they shouldn't be in the game. They all died, and that's why there are no hearts and rupees in the world. They're all dead. They went extinct. Sad story.
I did watch...
That's my headcanon.
I did watch a video earlier that some guy examined a ruined guardian and he found a purple rupee, which is 50. And...
Whoa.
Yeah, he did. I saw it.
So there was a rupee in the demo? That's crazy.
Yeah, and they actually added a counter on the top right of the screen. And
isn't that hilarious how crazy rupees are now?
Yeah.
Like we're saying like, oh, the thing that there's too many of in every other Zelda game. They found one? Whoa.
And I think Aonuma said they'll work a bit differently in this game. You'll probably only use them in towns and you'd have to trade stuff and all that jazz. Good.
Yeah, the way I've heard is that you have to actually sell goods that you find, like minerals or supplies that you find off an enemy, and that's how you actually obtain rupees. You're not going to just find them willy-nilly sitting around. Yeah, so
it's
that's
funny
good.
Because
that makes sense.
It's funny because when the game first got revealed in 2014, people were like, "I can't wait to cut all that grass," and there's like no point to now.
Well, there's still a point to the grass existing though, because there's something for you to burn. And
stealth.
To get that updraft. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find insects and such there in the grass.
Oh yeah, because you can eat the insects and you can find like truffles and stuff to eat and stuff. Because now we can recover like health by eating, which is the coolest. Because I'm really hoping there's cheese wheels. I want to stop mid battle and just eat a wheel of cheese because it's my favorite thing to do.
Speaking of which, do you think there's going to be heart containers in this game? Or do you think the only way you'll actually build up your endurance or the amount of hearts you have is based on equipment and your diet?
Yeah,
because some of the things you eat give you extra hearts. And what's the point of armor if it doesn't give you more? I guess it could give you resilience to attacks.
Well, it looked like food and armor gives you extra hearts that are like yellow colored in your heads-up display. But
yeah,
I guess...
exactly. Like, what if armor just padded your health temporarily as long as you're wearing that armor, you know?
It looks like maybe you have 3 default hearts, but then you could still find heart pieces to give you more default hearts, but you can still have armor and food to give you more temporary hearts. I think that's what they'll do.
I almost want them to not have heart containers at all, and I want it to be a case of you actually have to manage, you have to have armor at all times, because it makes you want to go out and get armor. Like, you're going to want to go and because if there's an option to forge your own armor at a town, you want to do that because it means that you can have 20 hearts, which you couldn't, you physically could not get otherwise. Because if there's heart containers, it's kind of like, okay, I guess I'll get the heart containers and then I'll be fine. But if you have to go and keep on top of managing your armor and sometimes it'll break and you'll be like, oh no, do I have a spare set? And you'll have to actually be prepared and you'll have to manage your equipment and all that sort of stuff. I really like that idea. I think that would flesh out and add a lot more depth to the gameplay instead of just got a heart container, cool, okay, I guess that's fine. Because then it means okay, you can only get us there's a really good piece of armor that you can only forge with stuff that you find in the final dungeon. So that gives a meaning to doing that dungeon because without that armor you might not be able to beat Ganon, but you don't have to. You could, you don't have to. I just feel like having optional stuff to make things easier for yourself that you have to personally manage, it would open up the game a lot more and it would make a lot more.
So you can basically make your own difficulty in this game, it sounds like, just...
Yeah, they were definitely toting that because they were saying you could, if you wanted to, do a naked run where you just use a Stalfos arm as a weapon and just beat everything to death with a Stalfos arm, which, by the way, I'm going to be doing all the time. It's because the Stalfos arm, there's so much polish on it. When you sheath it and it's on your back, the Stalfos arm still kind of moves in this creepy way, and it's so
trying to grab Link's butt the whole time. That's what it's doing.
Well, it is the best looking Link. So.
It's true. I think he's the only Link that's ever had a not weird looking face. Skyward Sword Link had those really weird looking lips for some reason.
Yeah, he did,
and
didn't he?
Twilight Princess Link had a weird nose, and it didn't quite look as good as the artwork for the game, So this is the first time that it doesn't look like Link just has a weird face. But yeah.
Well, I don't think, isn't it he doesn't have nipples?
Does he not?
You know,
No idea.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't have nipples,
No idea.
which is a bit odd. Someone fact check that, because I'm not actually sure.
Maybe we can add that to the canon, the lore. Hylians don't have nipples.
It's part of their biology.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think talking about the heart containers and such, that's definitely a convention that a lot of people have come to accept with Zelda, where getting the heart containers or heart pieces is part of like being a completionist. And I've never been a player that wants to get all the heart pieces. That's never been what I like to do.
same.
I've never
Nor
gotten
have I.
all the hearts in Zelda. And I'm okay with them not having that element to the game where it's kind of like a collectathon. I'm down with maybe upgrading your hearts in a way that's more like you get somebody like the Great Fairy just gives you another heart if you find a Great Fairy, and it's not about heart pieces.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that kind of thing, but
That'd be cool.
I'm sure there's people out there who want to be collecting hearts and heart pieces.
Yeah.
They can, if they don't have that in this game, sorry, but I don't need that, you know.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. I would rather have a thing that I dynamically manage than, oh look, another heart piece, cool. And like, because I've always felt like I don't need to go out and get heart pieces. I've never felt they were necessary to actually beat the game.
Yeah, exactly.
None of the final bosses ever felt hard enough that I could get, like, I could always get through it with just the heart containers you get from defeating dungeons. So I never felt
Pretty much.
like every now and then I'd find one and be like, okay, cool, I guess I've got that. But it never really, I never really had an incentive. So I think aside from 100%ing, there's no real incentive to do it. So I don't know. I just don't think they're necessary in this sort of game.
Yeah.
I think the changes they've made to the formula have made that kind of irrelevant and not really necessary anymore. But that could just be me.
Especially with 100 shrines, like that's the element that feels like completionist to me, because I can't imagine that you have to do all 100 to finish the game. So that's completionism for you, but in a way that's more satisfying than you found a thing that was on a cliff that you needed to hookshot to get to it. That's sort of inorganic and but I'm totally down with that. You know what's funny is whenever I got to the last boss in a Zelda game, I always felt like I was not weak enough for it to feel like a challenge. So I would actually go easy on Ganon. Like,
Sometimes.
especially at the end of Wind Waker, I want to make this feel more epic. So I'm not going to attack as hard as I normally would.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there are people in the room watching. And it's like, I want to make this feel like an epic moment. So I would just go easy on him. That shouldn't be necessary.
No,
I want to be able to, die a lot on the last boss. That better happen. Otherwise, either that or I so over-prepared that it made sense for me to be at an advantage. But, it should make sense. It shouldn't be a artificial thing like that.
Yeah, I think it should either be like you went to fight him straight away and he's going to destroy you because you're not prepared, or you just waltz in with this massive suit of armor, huge steel blade, and you're just
you go in there with your scale.
Get wrecked.
You've got a freaking a mech suit. You're going to wreck Ganondorf.
And he just gets destroyed because you're so over-prepared. I kind of want that to be optional things where you can be so powerful that you just destroy him. Moving on though, there's one thing I want to bring up is the weather system in this game, because there's a lot of things they were saying in the demo. They were when they were playing it, they were saying oh, we're not going to be playing for long enough to really see it in effect, and apparently there's just going to be gradual weather effects. Sometimes it will rain and sometimes it will snow or whatever, and apparently that will affect how you play and how you experience the world. And I'm thinking stuff so if I set fire to something and then it starts raining, is that going to put out my fires?
Probably.
Is wind direction gonna change without me? Because I was seeing that wind blows fire in certain directions. So is that gonna change and be something that I can't impact, and the world is just gonna mess with me in that way? I really want that to be the case. I'm excited.
Yeah, it seems
so.
It.
Apparently,
I don't know if they actually. Sorry, did they confirm there's gonna be a weather system or?
Yeah, they did.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Apparently, there's a way to, if you're wearing metal or if you have a metal weapon, there's a higher probability that you'll get struck by lightning. That's in the game.
Yes.
So it makes, there's so much depth. It's insane. And I'm really looking forward to what else they do with weather. Apparently if it's raining, then the stones are slippery, so it takes more stamina to climb because it takes more effort to climb a slippery rock face. Things like that.
That's so cool.
If it snows, I'm guessing snow's still going to be kind of a localized thing to the higher elevations. Yeah. I love snowboarding on your shield. That's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can do 180s when you jump.
Oh, yes.
So you can also use your bow while you're snowboarding. So you can straight up be Legolas from the Lord of the Rings movies.
It's called shield surfing.
Yes. Well, whatever, man. I think it's interesting that you can shield surf on the grass too, but just not as effectively. So I'm glad that's still an option.
I'm going to be hoarding so many shields, and just everywhere I go, just shield surfing, because it just looks like so much fun. I just want to do it. Especially once you get, hopefully there's a shield that doesn't break at some point later in the game, and that'll be fun to just surf everywhere. It seems like it's faster than Epona in some cases, like if you're going downhill. Like you can build up some really good speed, so that's exciting. There was this one clip of well, really quick, there was this moment in a Game Explain video where someone tried to shield surf off of the cliff at the beginning of the game, and they just jumped off the cliff and then put the shield under their feet, but they weren't surfing, they were just plummeting to the ground, and then they just hit the ground and instantly died. 3 hearts gone instantly. Nice. So good. Ouch. Yes. Well, there was one clip they showed where he was he was kind of gliding off of a massive cliff, and then he dropped the glider, put the shield under, and just hit the slope with such speed that he just kept going and snowballing down this hill, and it just it looks like so much fun. And then
he jumped off a part while snowboarding, then pulled the glider back out with the snowboard still under his feet. Yeah. It's just you can just go back and forth between gliding and snowboarding. It's so good.
So good.
I'm just gushing right now.
Amazing.
Anyway, I have 2 things that I want to bring up. So first of all, climbing is a main thing. You basically can climb anything and anywhere, as long as you have enough stamina, but then you might want to stop off by a ledge and carry on, and then you can eat food to power you up and cook skewers and whatever. But I think it's really cool that you can just climb anywhere, basically. But it's really weird, but it's kind of, I don't know how to say it, but it's weird that Link can just climb anything, you know? I don't want to say it's unrealistic, because, but it's a game with an elf and all, but but you can just climb anything. It's weird, but awesome.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man.
He's not an elf. He's a Hylian. Get it right. But it definitely supports the thing they were saying, way when they announced this game, they were like, okay, look over there. You see that? You can go to that.
Yeah.
They were saying, right at the start, they were saying that sort of thing. And it definitely supports that. You can go anywhere and climb stuff. And also, I like how people have almost been conditioned by Zelda to, if there's a cliff, it's oh, this is the wall. I can't go that way because this is how Zelda games work. You can't, there's a cliff there, so that's how I'm bound into this area by that cliff. Now it's nah, mate, I'm over that. Imagine if this Link lived in the Ocarina of Time world. He'd just be nah, mate, I'm
break
going.
The game so fast.
You just climb over everything. It'd be so good.
Yeah, I remember when they announced the game and they were saying that if you see a thing, you can get to it. And I was actually wondering, but that mountain looks really organic. It's not made of these stair-step stones like most climbable mountains are in past games like Wind Waker. So how are you going to get up there? And now we know the answer. You can climb pretty much any rock face. And it should be noted that you can't climb the walls in the shrines because they're nice slippery stone.
Shiny.
You can't grab on it or anything, but you can climb anything that's rough and stony.
Yeah.
So,
and you can also climb the Temple of Time. I watched a video of that earlier. Yeah. And he went to the top of it and a Korok appeared.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The Koroks are everywhere in this game, and they just kind of appear out of nowhere. They're just these floating leaf fragments, and then they just appear.
It looks
kinda
like
weird.
there's going to be another side quest like in Wind Waker where you have to find them all and help them plant seeds, I guess.
Yeah, you're probably right. I didn't think about it like that, but that's probably the case.
Yeah.
It's better than finding all the ghosts, all the Poe spirits, you know?
Oh god, no, don't.
I'm still doing
Don't
that in Twilight
remind me.
Princess HD, but I'm going to do it.
Why? Why?
Yeah, why is the
bother?
question?
I don't
Do
know
you
why,
want
but I feel
a bigger
compelled.
wallet so you can hold the rupees that you don't need?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
Anyway.
your prerogative.
Twilight Princess.
So climbing
Twilight
is...
Princess has so many good things and so many bad things. Yes, do go on. Sorry,
Anyway.
I just
want to say climbing's awesome, but the other thing I wanted to talk about was music. So the music in the trailer was flipping amazing. Wow. I still get like goosebumps.
I've been listening to it. I ripped that music and put it on my SoundCloud just so I could listen to it in the car.
But also, they said like when you go in when you're in the overworld, there's not going to be like an overplaying theme. Like imagine Twilight Princess's Hyrule Field theme. That you're not going to hear that, but you'll hear like random bits of piano. They've really emphasized the piano stuff, and I think that's just so great and adds to the ambience and adds to the atmosphere, and it's so good. And also, when I was talking about the English Zelda talking to you about Calamity Ganon. You can actually very faintly hear Zelda's lullaby in the background.
Oh, really?
Oh,
and that's why people
that.
think it's Zelda. Like, it's
okay,
amazing.
Well,
Before it's
Zelda
too late.
confirmed. Sending supplies.
One of the things, like, with the music I think is really good is how, like, music will kind of fade in and out when certain things happen. It kind of reminds me of how, like, in Skyrim, which is, you know, what I'm going to compare this game to forever because it's Skyrim and
Legend
Shadow
of the
Colossus
Zelda
combined.
Scrolls, Assassin's Colossus.
Featuring Dante.
And Knuckles. But it kind of reminds me of how like when a dragon shows up in that game, like the Dragonborn theme starts playing, and I really want there to be just like the rock guy that we saw. I want there to be just random bosses that are just going to show up out of nowhere, like how dragons do in Skyrim, like just around the world. Like, how cool would it be if you'd just be like running up to like Death Mountain and then just suddenly, oh, there's a dragon here now.
Hey, that
Gotta
reminds
fight a
me.
dragon.
Remember in the trailer?
Okay.
Remember in the trailer when you saw that massive skeleton creature? Like, what the hell's his deal?
Mhm.
I want to find out. Like, what massive skeleton Stalfos creature thing? Like, I want to find out. So maybe there'll be music when we see him. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he's important. Maybe he's just a guy wandering about. Who knows? Maybe that's Dompe. Maybe he's a skeleton now.
Boy, he looked like a massive skeleton. To be fair. Oh,
Yeah, he did.
oh,
Omni-
there's Omni. Omni.
Is he reconnected? Omni?
Omni.
Open your eyes. Wake up.
Artsy Omni.
Okay.
I don't know. Discord is starting to act up a little bit, but
Uh-oh.
I'll
You're cut.
figure it out.
I also wanted to say that some like ambient, icy, typical glacier music plays when you go up a mountain. You know, when it gets cold, and that was nice. So music will be added like that, I suppose.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's super cool.
music will be amazing in this game.
I think one of the things that I think is interesting is that in a typical Zelda game, the music is kind of like the overworld music. It's always playing, so it kind of cheapens it a little bit. And I think the interesting thing about the music in this game is that it emphasizes certain points through your playthrough. Like certain moments are going to be augmented by the music, and it's going to make the music more meaningful. And even though it's a little bit sad to kind of not have an overworld theme, I think they'll make up for it with other moments in the game that are going to have really touching music or really epic music. So I'm totally cool with that. One of the things that I thought was interesting about the music is that when you open chests in this game, there's not going to be a chest jingle. You just open them. There's still kind of a glowy light, but it happens nice and fast. I'm sure Ego Raptor is super happy about that. But that's not to say that the chest jingle isn't in the game, because if you get a rune, it's hard to tell because it's really subtle, but every time you get a new rune for your Sheikah Slate, it actually plays the treasure chest get item theme. It, like, as the drop is forming under the Sheikah eye, you can hear that da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and it builds up, and then as soon as you get the rune, it's like this weird metallic da-da-da-da, and it's not like, it doesn't quite sound like the theme because it doesn't have the same cadence, but it's the same notes, and it's really subtle and really clever, and I like totally geeked out when I noticed that it was happening.
I think maybe the dungeons will probably have typical Zelda things, maybe, or a couple, like the traditional jingle, I suppose, or some sort of important item, maybe. Who knows what the dungeons will friggin' do?
I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping there's just no traditional Zelda nonsense. I'm hoping they take this as its own brand new game. They mix up the formula and they just make something new. Because I think the one of the things that I think was an issue with Zelda recently is it's been getting a bit stale. Like, it's been leaning on itself so much. And I think I want them to build a whole new experience from the ground up. I would be fine if they don't even have like the traditional tunic, like, or the Master Sword. I know the Master Sword is confirmed, but I'd be fine if it wasn't there. I'd be totally okay with that. I'd be like, cool, give us new stuff. Build it from the ground up. Completely new.
When people keep asking Aonuma about the green tunic, he just keeps making like weird remarks, like, "Oh, I don't know." So I think maybe right at the end you'll get it or something. And I'm really interested to see like what the whole Master Sword deal is all about, because it's all rusty and you know.
What if the game ends with Link putting on the tunic and running out into Hyrule, and that's it? Then the credits roll, like the end of Smallville when he puts on the suit. Like, that would be just so annoying for traditional fans. Like, you never get to actually play with that. Oh, you get New Game Plus with that suit, and that costume is like the perfect costume or something. That might be cool. I think we probably need to be wrapping up at some point soon, because Omni is cracking up in the...
see if there's anything else. Oh, I wanted to see... it doesn't look like there's any traditional helper companion, like Midna or something. But the...
Good.
But the English Zelda does actually stop you. She does actually stop you soon after you exit the Shrine of Resurrection. And she says, "Link, look at your Sheikah slate for the next marker," or something.
Oh no.
But
she's gonna be the Navi.
But I don't think she's gonna be like so apparent like Navi, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's at the beginning of the game, right? I think they should bring back
Fee. Yeah. I want Fee to come back, and I want to be told percentages wherever I go.
Please no.
But Fee is back. The Master Sword's there. She's just all in ruins.
Yeah, but she's all rusty and wrinkly now, so it's okay.
Oh god. Rusty and wrinkly Fee, whatever.
One thing
I just want to really quick though. I want to ask.
Everyone wants to know. Yes.
Really quick, want to ask: is there anything about the game that you think you're concerned about, that you think might turn out poorly if they don't do it right, or do you think you feel pretty confident about the direction?
Any issues we might have? I'm slightly concerned about with the size of the world. I'm a little bit worried that it might at times kind of feel barren. I have faith that they're going to populate it well, but I don't know. Some areas I'm worried might be a bit empty, and I don't want that. And to be fair, like something like Skyrim had empty areas and it was fine. So I think I'm okay with like some areas being empty, but I don't want huge areas to just have nothing in them apart from like randomly spawning enemies and stuff.
I mean, they said the Great Plateau was like 2% of the whole map, so I think you're gonna find some barren things.
Yeah, probably.
But I think it'll still be pretty fun just to walk around and do shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I was concerned about was like not having I know it's Nintendo and story isn't their biggest thing, but I do like the lore and story of Zelda games. But and Aonuma said they didn't have towns in the demo, and there will be story. And I do like a bit of structure and linear-ish things, you know, because like a nice tightly packed sequence is really cool. But it looks like I think the story plot stuff will have that, and you can explore whatever. And I know you're laughing because you don't care about that, but I want it.
I like the fact that they've essentially kind of suggested that you might be able to just bypass all story and never have to listen to NPCs drone on about nonsense.
So if you don't care about how Link is in the world, just ignore it all and go to Ganon.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be awesome.
I mean, that's what makes this game so great, is you can play it the way you feel like you care about it. Like, I think for me, the only concern that I have is that I want them to like either tone down or change the stupid jingle that plays whenever you discover a new piece of like a new item, like a bokoblin horn, because it happens like constantly. It's it's like, stop it! No, it sounds like a children's toy. It sounds bad, and I hope they change it. And that's the only thing that I don't like about this game is that jingle. Just please make it better.
Yeah,
I can probably make a better jingle right now in like 5 minutes than that. So fix it. It's straight out of Skyward Sword and it doesn't fit.
Oh god, what if it's like Skyward Sword? It does the jingle every time you find an item, like each time you load the game.
No, they've said outright that they fixed the whole. If you've discovered it, you're not going to get the jingle again. But the first time still bothers me because at the start of the game you don't know what anything is yet, so you're going to get that a lot until you find out everything at least once, it's gonna have that jingle. So
yeah. Also,
I just
reminded myself. Well, you just reminded me of like some items given descriptions, and like some of the rock salt or something said something about the Great Sea and stuff. So that can also add to the whole post Wind Waker thing. But what I also don't get is like Spirit Tracks is 100 years after Wind Waker, so like
it's in a different place. They found a new land. It's New Hyrule.
Oh, okay. There's Hyrule and New Hyrule. Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Spirit Tracks was you know at the end of Wind Waker they sail away into the sunset.
Sail away, sail. Okay.
I knew that song was coming. I knew it.
I hate you. But like it's they've gone off on the ocean, and like Phantom Hourglass was like a midway stop between that and
I forgot it was
it's a whole different
Hyrule.
area. Yeah, it's completely split off. But yeah, just before we go, I think I've been told that lots of people at the ZBN want to know Omni's opinion on fonts. Tell us about the font that this game is using.
So there's the Zelda logo has that very iconic Zelda, all capital letters, right? And somebody in 2005, this guy made a font out of the logo letters, but it's not good, and I've always hated it. And in this game, they have a font in the game that resembles the Zelda logo, but it's so much better. And I'm tracing the entire thing. I'm making my own typeface based on it, and it's so much better than Triforce, the typeface that they currently have. So, I'm so happy right now about this font. It's just so great. Yes, I'm a type nerd. Get over it. But yeah, that's amazing. I love
Breath
the
of the
new
Wild
font.
is just a revolution in all areas.
Yes, they've fixed everything, including the existence of a crap font. And I've made it my personal mission to eradicate all uses of the Triforce font from Earth.
I remember when I was making the logo for 5 Hours In, I was using the Triforce font, and I shared like a work in progress, and you just came in like, no, don't do that, no. So I had to go and like manually change it so that it was slightly better. So I like your like hatred of the Triforce font. It entertains me.
Actually, I just remembered. I think someone asked for one of us to do a 5 Hours in the comments somewhere. So maybe someone
for
should
what,
do that.
Zelda?
I don't know.
Sorry, how is that going to work?
5 hours into the live stream. That's what it is. We've already gotten 5 hours into the game. They played the first 5 hours, and it's only 2% of the game.
Yeah, and again, like a 5 hours in of Breath of the Wild is going to be. It's just going to be, hi everyone, welcome to 5 Hours In. I've barely touched this game and I want to go back to it, so it's good, shut up, go away. That's it. That'll be it. You're not going to want to stop playing that game because you'll have barely scratched the surface after 5 hours. Like, I had that with Overwatch. My 5 Hours In was kind of rushed because I was like, I want to go back to playing this game. It's the inherent flaw of 5 Hours In as a concept, because a lot of games you're just like, I don't want to stop playing this to make a video.
Well, that's the great thing, is that maybe the thing that will tip people off to a good game is a short 5 hours in. Maybe that's the whole deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. Except we have a limit of about 5 minutes for the
episode.
If there's a 2-minute 5 hours in, then you know it's a good game.
10 seconds. It's good. Get it. Bye.
10 seconds in.
I want to do like a 500 hours in of Civ 5 when I get there, because I will get there. But yeah, I think we're kind of rambling at this point, so it's probably time to wrap it up.
Yeah, we should probably wrap this up. Well, that's pretty much it for our thoughts on Zelda Breath of the Wild. We're all excited. I mean, this channel is named after the Zelda series, so it makes sense that we're all very excited and very hopeful for this game. And this has been Artsy Omni for once with Dan and Chris, and I guess we'll see you guys later.
Bye. Bye.